Hey everyone, welcome back to another Beast of the Mesozoic review. Today we're taking a look at the new Deinonychus antirrhopus. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This is one of my most highly anticipated BoTM figures in the last couple of years. I've always wanted a Deinonychus figure from them ever since the Raptor series came out all those years ago, and finally my dreams have come true. And as always, a huge shout out to David for sending out this production sample for this early review. Now this figure, along with the albino Zuniceratops, saber-toothed tiger, and the Dilophosaurus, they are currently on the water. I think they should be shipping out in the next like 5 to 6 weeks, but you can still secure this figure for its early pre-order price of $35. Once these figures come into stock, the price jumps up to $40, and I'll leave a link down below in the description to Creative Beast Studios if you want to order one for yourself. And let's just take a quick look at the packaging before we bust open this absolutely gorgeous looking figure. We got the Deinonychus figure all front and center in the nice window display. BoTM logo up at the top. Deinonychus antirrhopus on the bottom. 1/18 scale dinosaur action figure. Some beautiful artwork on the side of the box. And then spinning the box around, we got some facts about Deinonychus as well as the other mentioned figures in this wave. And I actually forgot to mention the Allosaurus. Really looking forward to that bad boy. So enough about the packaging. Let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. And here is the Deinonychus the packaging, and this figure looks absolutely fantastic. Like I said earlier, one of my most highly anticipated figures from BoTM in the last couple of years. Deinonychus is one of my favorite dinosaur species, and I like this species so much. I actually ordered 2 of the Cyberzoic versions that'll be coming out earlier next year, and Deinonychus is such an important dinosaur. Most paleontologists consider this to be one of the most important dinosaur species ever discovered. When back in 1960s, when John Ostrom described the species, it brought upon the dinosaur renaissance. Before then, dinosaurs were thought of, slow-moving, cold-blooded reptiles. This showed that they were active and warm-blooded. And Deinonychus was primed to take the spotlight to the general public. Back in the early 90s, when Michael Crichton was writing Jurassic Park, he collaborated with John Ostrom about Deinonychus, and the Velociraptor in the book is pretty much based on Deinonychus, but ultimately Crichton went with Velociraptor because the name just sounded cooler, and that's probably why I really am not a fan of Velociraptor, because it took all the spotlight away from Deinonychus. And just like most of the smaller BoTM figures, this figure is an absolute pleasure to play around with. The articulation is nice and smooth. I absolutely love that gorgeous natural color scheme on it. Really neat looking figure. I can't wait to get the Cyberzoic version so I can have a little pack of these running around on my shelves. This figure also comes with a decent amount of accessories. The display stand, if you have any of these small 1/18 scale raptors like Velociraptor and Dromaeosaurus, you already be very familiar with how this stand works. And you also do get the alternate feet. We have a pair of running toes and a pair of slashing toes. And lastly, we get the standard art card included inside the package with some beautiful artwork of Deinonychus, and on the back of the card we have a picture of the actual figure and some facts about Deinonychus. And one thing I want to point out about the artwork, the animal that the Deinonychus is preying on is a Microvenator. It's from the Cloveri formation, same formation as Deinonychus, and there's some association with Microvenator and Deinonychus. I think it was when Barnum Brown discovered the Tenontosaurus remains. There was a limestone block containing some theropod remains, and some Deinonychus teeth were associated with that skeleton, and it gave it oversized teeth. But John Ostrom described the actual fossil in, I think it was like in the 1970s, and discovered that it was a Microvenator, which is a type of oviraptor. So that's pretty cool. Maybe somewhere down the line we'll get something as obscure as a Microvenator from BoTM, but I do highly doubt that. And let's just do some quick measurements. This figure is 7.5 inches long from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, around 19 centimeters, about 2.5 inches tall to the top of the head, or 6.3 centimeters. So Deinonychus in real life was between 10 to 11 feet long, or 3.3 to 3.4 meters. So I'll put this figure nicely in the 1/18 scale range. Taking a look at the finer details of this figure, the main body coloration is a light brown with a dark wash of brown over all that nicely sculpted feather detail. The head sculpt is absolutely fantastic. You have some nice white along the side of the head to contrast with that brown, along with some black markings. The eye is painted yellow with a black pupil, a little bit of red around the orbit. Inside the mouth, you have this nice deep purple gum tissue. Absolutely love that touch. Going down to the feathered forearms, all the feathers are beautifully sculpted. On the inside of the forearms, the feathers are sculpted in white with black striping. Going down to the hind legs, you have some brown transition to the white at the lower half of the thighs and lower legs. And going down to the feet, you can see the iconic sickle claw of Deinonychus is beautifully sculpted and decked out in glossy black paint. And then going down to the tail, just absolutely love the plumage at the tip of the tail. Some more dark, dry brushing to bring out all that beautiful feather detail, and even the underside of the tail has some nice paint apps on there. So yeah, all around this figure is absolutely gorgeous, and it's definitely high up on my list of my favorite Beast of Mesozoic figures of all time. For articulation, mouth can open up that far and close completely flush. The head can move up and down and side to side, and with the neck joint you get some nice downward and upward movement, and using those joints in tandem you could get some really nice side to side movement on this. It looks really great. Look at it from the top. That is some nice articulation on the neck. Going down to the forearms, arms can swing out, they can move backwards and forwards. Joints are very tight in my figure, which I like. I play with my figures a lot and I don't want the joints to get loose. You get some nice bend at the elbow, and you get wrist articulation. Going down to the torso, you get some nice side to side movement, as well as some nice up and down movement. For the hind legs, they can move backwards and forwards, and on that knee joint, that's about as much bend you're going to get. That's one of my only complaints about Beast of Mesozoic figures. I wish there was more range with the knee joint, but the way the figures are sculpted make them look scientifically accurate. You know, that thigh is going to bang into that knee joint, and then you do have articulation at the ankle on that joint, and it's also on a swivel, so you can turn it side to side. And the feet are on a ball joint, and the feet are detachable on that ball joint. And for the tail, you get up, down, and side to side movement, and the tail is actually made out of, has a wire in it for more articulation options. So yeah, all around, the articulation on this little guy is really good. Now for the display stand, like I said earlier, if you're having the 1/18 scale Raptors, you already be familiar how this stand works. You have a little peg right here that allows this little clip to clip over the toe of the figure to keep it nice and stable. And you also get a display rod with a cradle to hold the figure at the chest for different display options. The stand does a great job of supporting the figure, and with those different stand options, you can get some really nice dynamic poses out of it. Moving on with comparisons, here it is with the Hammond Collection Robert Muldoon. Standard 3 3/4 inch action figures are 1/18 scale, so they scale perfectly with the Beast of the Mesozoic figures. Next up here are some of the 1/18 scale Raptor sizes in the BoTM line. In the back we have the huge Utah Raptor. In the front we have the small limelight stealing Velociraptor, and it's just so great that we have all these different raptor species in the line right now. There's such a cool group of dinosaurs, and I hope we see more of the larger, 1/6 scale raptors get made into the 1/18 size scale. Next up, here it is with some of the Hammond Collection Velociraptors. In the back over here we have Delta and the Jurassic Park Velociraptor. Next up here are a few Deinonychus figures from over the years. The big one in the back over there is the old Rosaurus Carnage Collection Deinonychus. These were great figures when they came out back in the day, although they were extremely fragile. I'm surprised none of mine had broke yet. The only one that broke was the Velociraptor that had popped off it. They were known for having notoriously weak joints. And then going down, we have the beautiful Safari Limited Deinonychus. In the front over here, we have Rebor's take on the species. Next up are some cast of Deinonychus fossils. In the back, this is a life-size skull of Deinonychus, and right here, this is the killing claw. This is actually cast from the holotype, which is the Yale Peabody Museum. Specimen number 5205. The Peabody Museum is where John Ostrom worked, where he described this very important species of dinosaurs, and I've been to that museum a countless number of times, and I always stop and appreciate the Deinonychus there. I do miss the old display with one leaping and one running. Now we just have one behind a glass case, but still a very impressive mount of that species. And lastly, here it is with a few beasts of the Mesozoic figures. We have the awesome looking Xenoceratops, Chinsusaurus, and the amazing Gorgosaurus. Now you'll notice the Gorgosaurus is using the new medium display stand. David was nice enough to send one of the stands with these production samples, and I can confirm the stand is awesome. It works absolutely fantastic. The inclusion of the rubber pad on the bottom stops the stand from sliding around, and it's really, really stable. You could get some really cool poses out of it. I just love all the different options you can do with this medium stand, and I'm definitely going to order a few more for my mid-sized Tyrannosaur figures. So, final thoughts on Beast of the Mesozoic Deinonychus. This is easily one of my favorite figures in the entire series, though I might be a little bit biased because I said, a couple times in this review, this is one of my favorite dinosaur species, but it's an awesome figure. For like that 35, 40 bucks, you're getting a lot of stuff. What do you get in a display stand with a couple options, multiple feet. The articulation is great on this figure, and it's just an absolute joy to play with. The paint scheme is also fantastic. I expect nothing less from David. So yeah, highly, highly recommend this figure. And like I said at the beginning of my review, a link is down below to Creative Beast Studios if you want to order one of these for yourself. So that will do it for the review. Obviously, you've seen the pictures on my YouTube page. The Dilophosaurus review is up next. Hope to have that one out by tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. I'll see you guys for the next one.